right, close up. This year's presidential campaign has been anything but run-of-the-mill, of course. But one thing that's pretty typical in a campaign, having the candidate's spouses on the trail to garner support for the ticket and talk about what their priorities would be. And that's what the Democratic VP nominee Tim Kaine's wife is doing in New Hampshire. Ann Holton is my guest this morning. Good to see you, ma'am.
Good morning, Josh.
Welcome to New Hampshire. So, Princeton and Harvard, huh? Wow.
Yeah, yep. And I got me a husband at Harvard. How's that?
So, how has life changed for you since the convention, for you and your family?
Well, it is a big change, Josh. I've been in the public eye in one way or another literally since I was a child, so that part's not new. But getting to travel outside of Virginia and get to introduce ourselves to the other 49 states and have them get to meet us, it's been fun.
Are you enjoying it?
I am. I love people. I love meeting people. I have been meeting voters all over. Hillary gave me a specific charge to talk to teachers, to listen to teachers and bring feedback back to the campaign, and that's something I treasure the opportunity to do.
Sure. And for those who don't know it, you were the Secretary of Education in Virginia, resigned the seat when your husband became the VP nominee. But if this ticket is successful, how active will you be in staying in that arena and championing the things you believe in when it comes to education?
Well, I'll want to be helpful to Tim and Hillary any way I can in helping them govern well. I hope that Hillary will ask me to continue to do what she's asked me to do on the trail, to work with teachers, parents, students everywhere in a listening mode and in a way that helps her team. I've also worked a lot with young people coming out of the foster care system, and they're very near and dear to my heart. I got to know those kids, many of them, when I was a juvenile domestic relations court judge, and then worked later to help them find successful pathways to the future. I'd love to work with those kids too in some way. Yeah.
So what are you hearing from the teachers out there? I mean, obviously, we know what is talked about so much in this campaign, but what are teachers telling you? What are their issues? What are they asking from your administration?
Well, you know, certainly one of the biggest issues that I've faced in Virginia, and we successfully made some inroads on, but that I hear elsewhere, is that we've just been asking our schools and our educators for a long time to do more with less. We're asking them to meet higher standards, as we should. We're asking them to deal with all kinds of societal ills, and we've been, since the recession in many, many states, we've been cutting resources for them. So trying to right that balance is something we hear everywhere. I also hear from educators everywhere that we've got to figure out how to have good accountability but still restore a little bit of the joy of teaching and the joy of learning.
Yeah, indeed. Obviously in this campaign there's been so much division, a lot of anger. The one thing that folks have said about your husband, Cory Booker, for instance, senator from New Jersey, is that he has a lot of respect from both sides of the aisle. It's going to be tough to get an objective answer from you on this, but it's worth asking. Is he the type of person this country needs to bridge the gap and begin the healing that so many people are asking for?
Absolutely. Tim has always worked across partisan lines to get things done. You know, I'm a daughter of a Republican governor of Virginia, so I am actually a bipartisan family to start with.
Wow.
Yeah. So I come at bipartisanship very deeply, and my husband and Hillary both do too. They both have had to work across the aisles to get things done. I'll tell you something that's kind of fun is Tim has had folks in the Senate, even on the other side of the aisle, come up to him in the hallways in the Senate gym and say, you know what, we know Hillary. We worked with her when she was a senator. We worked with her when she was Secretary of State. We can work with Hillary. And I think there's going to be an appetite to have some real ability to work across barriers and get things done after this election.
One thing that did strike me at the convention was just how comfortable the senator looked on stage. I mean, that's a pretty big, that's a tall order to introduce yourself to the world at the Democratic National Convention. Is this something that he's just always looked towards or expected would happen one day, or I mean, is it just a confidence? Where does the confidence come from?
Well, I would say exactly the opposite on what he expected. When he and I were in law school together, people would have thought he might have ended up being a judge and I might have ended up in politics, and I served on the bench, and now here he is. No, he just got mad at something going on our city council one day and went out there and jumped into a city council race, and sort of the rest is history. He's always been a natural communicator. He's a good listener. He can connect with audiences. So the speaking, even in large settings, he is pretty comfortable in that.
Yeah, and are you a close advisor? I mean, he said also at the convention that, you know, his popularity is due mainly to the fact that you agreed to marry him. So, But I mean, do you guys talk a lot about, you know, whether it's strategy, you know, messaging, things along those lines?
I don't know about strategy, but we talk a lot. Well, we talk about lots of things. We talk about kids. We talk about what we're reading and what we're doing for fun.
Good.
But yeah, we talk politics plenty. It's been our lifeblood in so many ways, and it's something we care passionately about. So we talk about it. I wouldn't say I'm one of his inner circle advisors. He's got good people. Frankly, I even try not to so much because he's got, he needs to have a little respite from it.
Yeah, so sometimes they leave the office at the office. Well, ma'am, best of luck to you moving forward. Welcome back to New Hampshire. Enjoy your stay.
Thanks, Josh. Great to be with you.